train. Got my name. Coming to Hollywood. Fortune and fame. Packing light. Spirit light. Future is set. And I'm on the mic. Where I belong.
Yeah, we're trying to set up here the crane shot, so have some bird view. You know, in the movie about birds attacking man, you can have a bird view. You know, that's just a given. Ah! Okay, here you go. Ah! Action!
Ah, get off of me! This is such a foul situation!
We got the dialogue figured out now. Okay, so we shoot that scene. It's been 3 years in the making. I'm very excited, you know, that my vision has come through, my dream has come through, that we're making Birdemic 2. I know this movie is going to be a hit. It's going to make it into really a successful franchise, a Hollywood franchise.
Toilet paper is made from trees. Trees are cut down to make toilet paper. That sucks.
You know, it doesn't look like cinema. It looks like a video. Never went to a film school. Never went to a formal cinematographer cinema school. You know?
Birds attacking Hollywood.
It says, recover memory card data. What does that mean? Does that mean we just lost the whole day?
Probably I could have hired a student and I would have done a better job.
Yeah.
You know that?
How many would you
He would have done a better job. I am the creator of the franchise. Don't you ever embarrass me and threaten me again, okay? You call Jeff. Don't talk to me. Go get Jeff now.
James.
Go get Jeff now.
That sucks.
So we are all familiar with this man, James Nguyen, the genius brainchild behind movies such as Birdemic, Birdemic 2, and nothing else. His first film that debuted in 2010 called Birdemic Shock and Terror is as shocking as it is terrifying, in the fact that it's shocking that the movie even exists and terrifying at the fact that he managed to make a sequel out of it, which is the movie we're going to be talking about today. Now you're probably wondering why I decided to review the sequel and not the first movie and the sequel. Well, honestly, it's because I think the first movie, as bad as it is and as funny in terms of how bad it is, I think it's too easy of a target. I always viewed the first movie to be like just a little tiny bit of a mistake, or as Bob Ross would put it, a happy little accident. So you think someone like that would actually be able to learn from his mistake. But that's where you'd be wrong, because in the sequel, it's not only worse than the first movie, but it also shows a man who doesn't really seem to learn from his mistakes. But also someone who doesn't seem to want to learn from his mistakes, which I'll explain later in the video, probably by the end of the whole thing. It'll be like a long outro, but just bear with me on that. For now, I just want to talk about this movie, Birdemic 2, The Resurrection, which is again directed by James Nguyen, the only man to ever film a movie with the damn lens cap on, and this being the end result. I think you get the gist of what I'm saying here. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. We start the movie off following this guy as he walks casually down the streets of Los Angeles, specifically on Hollywood Boulevard. So who is this guy? I don't know. Why are we following him? I don't know. Where is he walking to? I don't know. What purpose does it have to the story? I don't know. And how long does it go on for? 5 freaking minutes.
Hi.
Okay, storytelling 101. Starting off your first bit of dialogue with this high and high back is the most amateur and most boring way to start off a movie, minus the first 5 minutes that we sat through earlier. The beginning of a movie should do its best to direct your attention to the screen from the first few frames. But all we get here is 5 minutes of walking and hi. Just excellent filmmaking. You deserve a participation award to show that you made a movie. Yay! Yeah, you did it. Good job. Oh, great. More walking. So after 6.5 minutes of nothing of substance happening, we finally get to know our main characters, or at least in terms of their names and what they do for a living. This is Bill. He's a movie director. This is Gloria. She's a struggling actress. Bill wants Gloria to audition for the movie he's working on, and she reluctantly says yes. And that's about it. There's no depth to the conversation. There's no any form of character development. It's just, I want to be in a movie. I can help you. Okay, bye.
You're an actress. How come I've never heard of you?
Well, I'm still one of those struggling actresses. I haven't made my big movie break yet. But I do a lot of low-budget indie films in hopes that that'll get me discovered.
What movies have you been in?
So it seems as though Bill is waiting for a friend to come by, and that friend just happens to be the main character from the first movie, Rod. And he brings his girlfriend for some reason. And I guess this is where their hangout spot is. Apparently they've been away for 5 years. They then go on to talk about the movie that swept Sundance, which I guess is supposed to be the first movie that ironically was in Sundance. I don't even know how the movie got past its front door, but whatever. They then go on talking about how indie films are better than Hollywood films, because indie films have creative control, and Hollywood films don't.
And then, after that, you did that Hollywood film, In the Sand, right? I wish I hadn't.
Why?
It bombed. Because I didn't have creative control. You know, Final Cut. Some of Hollywood's greatest films are indies. Like Vertigo, Citizen Kane, and Psycho. Because they were produced independently. And the director had complete creative control and Final Cut.
I feel like Hollywood films in production as well as in the filmmaking process are a little bit more complicated than that. I mean, at least James Nguyen would know, seeing how he's a franchise filmmaker. So I think he would know that, but he's clearly not a franchise filmmaker, so he doesn't know that. I don't think he really has a clue as to what that is. Which is fine. It's okay if he doesn't. That's part of the learning process, but based on the dialogue in this movie, he seems as though he thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't know shit. It's kind of embarrassing to see, honestly. Also, this woman looks really bored right now.
I heard you did quite well in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I made a lot of money off these two high-tech startup companies, NCT Software and Mass Solar.
I was also attacked by killer birds and watched pretty much everyone die around me. But that's not important. Toast to our success, and possibly death. So Bill mentions that he's working on a new movie called Sunset Dreams, but he needs a decent budget to work with. So how much is he asking for? $1 million. Which is quite a lot to ask from someone, but he describes it as a small budget for a Hollywood film. Look, Bill, I don't care what standard you're trying to go for, but you can't just go up front and ask someone for $1 million and expect them to say yes.
I'm going to write you a check for $100,000 to option for the script.
Okay, I guess you can simply just go up to your best friend and ask him for $1 million and he'll say yes. Apparently that's how this movie works. Then they go on celebrating in the most awkward way possible. We then cut to Bill watching a newsreel about birds falling from the sky, or at least that's what this tagline says, which is a good thing it's there because I can't hear a word this woman is saying because the music's way too loud. What? I can't hear you. Turn the music down. It's like a Sonic game. Hey look, we got another scene of a character walking for a long time. Great. So while Bill was walking on Hollywood Boulevard, again, he runs into Gloria walking the opposite direction. It turns out she's packed up and trying to go back home because she thinks her dream isn't going to come true. But through very little convincing, Bill somehow managed to persuade her to stay and continue pursuing her dream. And she agrees. And then he proceeds to just stand there like a statue for some reason. Stop. So in the next scene, we see Bill and Rod meeting up with investors for the movie that they're working on, in the hopes that they help fund it. But they just have one problem with the script.
So where are the topless chicks? Right, where are the sex scenes? I don't see anything in here. We have to have it in here.
Absolutely. And there's no fight scenes, there's no blood, there's no guts.
But guys, listen, Sunset Dreams, it's not all about the babes, boobs, and blood.
I want you to remember this scene. I'm gonna come back to it later in the video. I'm not gonna say when, but I'll let you know once we get to that point. So just keep it in the back of your mind. So eventually, and I do mean eventually because this scene goes on for like an eternity, the investors decide to fund Bill's movie for $1 million. Bill and Rod are so excited about this good news that they completely miss the high five they were trying to do. And then Bill proceeds to make the silliest faces to show his excitement. So now we cut to audition day where we see Gloria and Natalie auditioning for the main role. And they're both just as terrible as each other.
To love somebody means to want to be with that person forever. Forever? Forever. To love somebody is to want to be with that person. Forever. Forever.
And then we cut to more walking. God, this movie. Why can't you just cut to them already in the office? They're just simply walking down the hall into the office. Just cut to the office. So Rod and this other person who was there at the audition, I think, discussed the auditions with Bill.
Claire's audition was good. She's a beautiful girl. She can act. Now can we work with her?
That was acting?
Yeah, but I thought Natalie auditioned well too.
Yeah, but Gloria does have more experience in acting, as you can see from her audition.
Did someone's Nokia phone just go off in the middle of the take? You didn't think just to maybe retake the scene? So then we cut to the next scene where Bill calls Gloria while she's at work, and after a pointless scene of more walking, he tells her that she made the cut to be the lead role in his movie. Also, the audio in this scene is terrible.
How wonderful! Yes, I would love to play Kim in Sunset Dreams.
Also, yes, James, we get it. You really love Hitchcock. Can you please stop plastering it into her face and just tell a goddamn story? Bill goes on to ask her out to celebrate her making the cut, which sounds like something Harvey Weinstein would do. But she somehow agrees to doing so. And then he proceeds to sit back and have his hand up to his fingers like he's a Bond villain. Why are you doing this? Also, it makes it extra hilarious when you hear the screech on this chair. So Bill and Gloria are on their date and exchange dialogue. At least I think they are, because I can't hear a damn word they're saying. The sound everywhere around them is louder than the actual dialogue of this scene.
I've always wanted to be an actress, and I actually started when I was 7.
Wow, that young?
Yes, my grandfather, Jack Marlowe, he encouraged me and supported me throughout my entire movie career. Thanks to him,
James, buddy, you know there are 2 settings to a boom mic, right? One where you have the sound of your 2 actors, and then the other is where you have the sound of all their surroundings, so that you can separate those 2 in post. Hell, you don't have to separate them in post. The settings are already there on the boom mic, so I don't understand why you don't know that. Did you not look up what to do before you started using the goddamn mic?
What can I do to ever repay you for helping me out with my movie career?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah, this is definitely Harvey Weinstein. So if you guys enjoyed all those scenes of people walking around and doing nothing, well now you get to watch people driving around and walking around and doing nothing. Isn't this movie great? God damn it, I hate this shit. James, is this really the music you decided to go with to show 2 people on a date? It sounds more like someone's trying to work out in the gym very intensely. So they somehow run into Rod and Natalie on the same beach, and they invite them to go to the museum with them, to which they say yes. And then they proceed to walk on the beach some more. Great! More walking! You know, this movie isn't called Birdemic, it's called Walk. Just call the movie Walk. Thanks, James. Thanks for giving us the art of walking. Can you tell a fucking story, please? Meanwhile, we get this horrible scene. I'm not going to talk about it yet. I'm just going to let it play out, and we'll talk about it later. But for right now, I just want to show it to you. Here it is.
Hurry, somebody call the ambulance. Call 911. Don't worry, miss. You're gonna get help.
Please, we need an ambulance now. A woman has been stung on the beach.
What happened to her?
I don't know, something about a giant jumbo jellyfish. Please, we need an ambulance now.
Where are you located?
You know, I wouldn't be so incredibly pissed off about that entire sequence of events. Even with all the bad effects, the bad acting, the bad audio and dubbing, I could totally forgive all that if it had any point to anything that goes on in this movie. But it doesn't. It has nothing to do with birds attacking. It has nothing to do with the story in general. It doesn't even come back later in the movie. It just comes and goes, never to be seen again. James, you're better off just cutting this scene out of the movie altogether. Although, the same could be said for most of the scenes in this movie, but we'd be here all day trying to analyze all those scenes, so let's just move on. For my sake, and for anyone else who's watching this video. So the gang make their way to the museum, and this has nothing to do with anything, so let's move on. So they run into Dr. Jones, who they met in the first movie, who I like to call Dr. Exposition, completely glossing over the fact that they met during the bird apocalypse in the last movie. But it's just a footnote, it's fine, doesn't amount to anything. So Exposition here talks about how birds are descendants from prehistoric animals. And they attack cavemen, apparently. To which they show this scene here. Even though it looks like they're in a public park in like a country club or something. And then they get killed by birds. This is the only scene that has anything to do with the movie, by the way. And they decide to make us wait this long, halfway into the damn movie. James, where the hell are your priorities, man? And now it cuts to our characters in Catalina Island? What, are they on vacation now? What is this movie? Hey look, birds. Because in the title of the movie. Because they're birds in the movie. God. You know, for such a beautiful vacation spot, they managed to pick the ugliest looking bar on the island. So while our gang's at the bar, Natalie's mother from the last movie makes an appearance. For some reason. This scene has nothing to do with anything, so let's move on. And now we get to a dance sequence that's also very pointless.
I'm on a train, got my new name, coming to Hollywood, fortune and fame.
Hey, wasn't there a movie they're supposed to be working on? What the fuck? What was that face? We then cut to a sex scene between Bill and Gloria, which is about as cringy as it sounds. Which is why I'm not going to show it to you for YouTube purposes, and because I don't want anyone's eyes to melt while watching it. So instead, here's a gif of a Bellsprout pelvic thrusting. And now we finally come to the point where the birds finally rise from the tar of the lake. When was that lake tar again? I guess it was from the raining blood that came out of nowhere. But then where did the raining blood come from? I know it was mentioned before with Dr. Jones, but that doesn't explain anything. It's just a thing that happens. What happens here is just a thing that happens. Oh, the cave people from earlier show up too. I don't know what to take from this. I mean, I knew it was going to happen eventually, but what? Why? I don't. Okay. So after 40 goddamn minutes of this whole movie, we finally get to see our characters make the movie that they were trying to make this entire time. And then birds start attacking them. Because for some reason they can get indoors. Look, do I even need to say anything at this point? What else could you have come to expect with this? So after that nonsense, we cut to even more nonsense. But before we go any further, I said to keep this scene earlier in mind.
So where are the topless chicks? Right, where are the sex scenes? I don't see anything in here. We have to have it in here.
But guys, listen. Sunset Dreams, it's not all about the babes, boobs, and blood.
Well, this is why.
I want to. It's supposed to be so fun.
I heard Jeff's gonna be there.
He totally likes you.
You have a crush on him.
I do. What are you gonna wear?
I'm not too sure yet. I was thinking about borrowing something from you.
Okay, so you claim with having topless chicks and having sex scenes isn't the point of having a great movie. So then why do you have a sex scene prior to this scene happening and then have 3 topless chicks standing in center frame for more than 15 seconds of filming? Like, James, if you're gonna make a claim, then make the claim, but don't disprove it immediately after. I'm assuming you read what you written in your script, so I think you should know to fucking proofread it, dude. Holy shit. And now it's time to play the first drinking game I'll ever have in this channel. Every time someone says he or she is dead, take a drink.
She's dead. She's dead. They're all dead.
She's dead.
They're all dead.
She's dead. They're dead. All right.
Hope you're not too drunk yet. So the game makes their way outside and they fight more birds. Okay, how many bullets are in these damn guns?
She's dead.
So after that nonsense, the gang regroups and assesses the situation.
Quick, see if anyone's still left alive.
I already checked. Everyone is dead.
Yeah, that was confirmed like ages ago. Did you not see them all get killed by the birds earlier? Were you so busy punching, shooting, and kicking the birds that you had tunnel vision the whole time?
Strange and weird things are happening in the environment right now.
Guys, can we just change the subject?
No, I think we just hit the most pivotal moment in this entire movie. And it only took us 45 minutes to finally get to that point. What could you possibly have to say that's more important right now?
Jaws happens to be one of my favorite movies. I feel like I'm in a movie. In fact, my next script will be about birds attacking Hollywood.
Great idea. Hey, will you cast me in it? Yeah, me too.
I can direct it.
Sure, if you can find a producer to option my script.
My best friend Rod here, I'm sure he'd love to take a look at your script.
Yeah, that's a great idea of turning this birds attack into a movie. You know what? It could be just as big as the Jaws franchise.
Yeah. Or maybe as big as Saw or Paranormal Activity franchise.
Shut the up.
Based on this really cheap digitized sign that clearly was added in post, the gang find themselves in the western set where they find this girl in a shed. Then they take her with them and then they leave. And that's basically the scene. Oh, and one more thing.
Is he dead?
Is he breathing? He's dead.
The gang walk into a burnt forest where they find the tree hugger from the first movie. He looks like a Walmart version of Woody Harrelson. He talks about global warming or whatever. This is supposed to connect to the birds attacking, but honestly, do you really care at this point? Then out of nowhere they find an RV just sitting unattended and drive around the city. Is this seriously going to be like the walking scenes from earlier? Like, this is going to go on forever? Jesus Christ, James. Just cut this part out. You don't need it in here. Okay, 4 of you don't have to get out of the van. It could just be like 1 or 2 of you. Oh my god, are we seriously going to see them walk all the way down there the whole time?
They're dead. Grab their guns.
And we have to see them walk back? James, why? Why do you have to do this to me, man?
He's dead.
The gang attempts to hide out in the movie theater, but then they find a bunch of birds inside attacking and killing the people inside.
Oh my god, the birds are attacking everyone in the theater. Let's get the hell out of here. Shit!
Why did they think this was a safe place anyways? Did they forget that they were attacked indoors by a bunch of killer birds? Then they fight more birds and then they leave.
Hey Rod, I know the shortcut through the cemetery.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
No, it's not a good idea. You already contradicted yourself earlier. Your best bet is to camp out in the RV and hope for the best. They get out of the RV to find zombies in Birdemic. Makes sense? Not really. Which leads to a horrible fight scene.
This is embarrassing.
She's dead. Let's go.
Okay, they can't expect that to be legal parking. They pull up to the zoo and actually use their brain and think twice about leaving the RV.
Hey, we should go in that zoo. There might be people in there.
Wait. The last time we took a detour was through that cemetery. And do you remember what happened? We were attacked by those zombies. I'm not going through that again.
And then they leave the RV to get into the zoo because they're idiots. That's where they meet the zookeeper who tells them to stop global warming. And then they go back to the RV and then drive away. You're starting to see a pattern here with this movie now. So then they run into a bunch of cave people, and then they get their asses kicked the whole time. And then they leave, and they drive away. Is this movie over yet? So then they find a vending machine near a hotel, and they buy some soda from it. And then they fight more birds, and then one of them dies.
He's dead.
Then the birds just fly off into the sunset, and then the movie's over. I'm not kidding. That's how the movie ends. I don't know what to say at this point. I'm just glad it's over. I can go on and on about everything wrong with this movie. From the technical issues, to the issues with the story, to the terrible acting, characters, the writing, overall production. But just simply talking about how bad this movie is and what the issues are, just the movie alone wouldn't do this video justice. I think it's fair if we talk about the director's intentions and motivations to making the film in the first place. So if you recall the behind the scenes clips I showed you earlier in the video, you'll notice just a simple man trying to achieve his dreams of becoming a successful filmmaker in the Hollywood industry. But what you'll also notice is that this man seems to want to rush through the process of becoming that. Here's a couple examples to prove my point.
And I'm very excited, that my vision has come through, my dream has come through, that we're making Birdemic 2. I know this movie is going to be a hit. It's going to make it into really a successful franchise, a Hollywood franchise. You're doing a great job, Chelsea, and I know. And today was the second day of filming, and I know this movie, Birdemic 2, is going to help your movie career. And who knows? There's no guarantee, but maybe stardom. Who knows? That's your name. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds great.
I am the creator of the franchise. Don't you ever embarrass me and threaten me again, okay?
There's also a few clips from a short documentary from a YouTube channel called Vice that follows James's journey through making these films.
After this trip, after we've met with ICM partners, after we've been here in Hollywood, what's the first thing you're gonna do when you get back to San Jose?
Well, I have a meeting to negotiate a deal for Birdemic 3, the CEO. Birdemic 3 will be my last one. I think I'll take his advice, kind of like after I make Birdemic 3. What the Birdemic franchise needs is the studio to take over and reboot it with $10-20 million per picture. Well, that's what we need to make it to something better.
Now what these clips show is that while he is passionate about his dream, he's also very stubborn. Sometimes that can be a good thing. It can mean that some people are trying to tell you to stop chasing your dream, but you tell yourself you're not going to stop just because someone tells you to. And that's what keeps you going. And like I said, that can be a good thing. But with James being stubborn, what I mean by that is that he doesn't seem to learn from his mistakes. He's made a bad movie that got positive attention for all the wrong reasons, yet he attempts to achieve the exact same success doing the exact same thing. It's almost as if he thinks that, oh, if I do this Birdemic thing again, then that means I'll be successful in the movie industry. It's almost as if he wants success, but he wants it as fast as possible. Well, James, I'm sorry to say this, but there's no fast way to success. It is and always will be a long road ahead. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said in the documentary, it's all about being patient and waiting for the opportune moment to come. But while you wait, you should try to focus on improving and mastering your craft as a filmmaker. That's really it, James. I understand you're inspired by the great Alfred Hitchcock. In fact, so is anyone, really. But it's also important to understand what inspired him to be as successful as he was. There's a quote from a graphic novelist of one of my favorite webcomics. It's called Spaceboy, and the author is named Stephen McCraney. The quote is, "Knowing your artistic lineage gives you growth as an artist and a sense of momentum, direction, and heritage." What that means is to know and grasp what inspired Hitchcock to become a filmmaker. Not just a famous filmmaker, just a filmmaker in general. What inspired him to make films? So let's look that up for a second. There's 3 of them here that really stand out to me, so let's talk about those 3, because I'm not sure who the other guy is. So let's talk about F.W. Murnau. He's actually a German filmmaker who directed the most famous movie of all time, Nosferatu. which basically started the horror genre as we see today. If it wasn't for that movie, we wouldn't have the horror genre, and a bunch of other movies to go along with it that are just as critically acclaimed. So those are movies that you should probably look up, James. Now another one is D.W. Griffith, who also made Birth of a Nation, which is the second film to ever exist, the first one being The Great Train Robbery that had a 3-act structure. So he was pretty much what started the filmmaking industry that wasn't really an industry. It was just people who just picked up a camera and said, let's make a movie out of it. And finally, Roald Dahl. I mean, who doesn't know who this guy is? This guy who made Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, The BFG, a bunch of other novels. And his writing is very famous for being childlike friendly as well as charming and just critically acclaimed as it deserves. What I'm trying to say, James, is that if you understand your artistic lineage as a filmmaker and what inspires you to become that successful filmmaker, you will improve. But you have to be willing to learn. If you don't learn, then you're just going to keep making Birdemic movies all your life. You'll never improve. And if that sounds harsh, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. You have to enjoy the journey and not think about the destination. Otherwise, you'll never get anywhere. All I'm trying to say is, James, if you take the time to understand what you did wrong, if you take the time to listen to other people and compromise with other people's ideas outside of your own, you would actually learn how to make new things and make them look grand and epic and not Birdemic. That will at least show that you're actually improving and want to learn more as you go along in your journey. But if you keep doing this, you're just going to stay stagnant for the rest of your life. And I don't want that for you. Whatever it is that you decide to do, I support you in all of your endeavors. And I wish you the best of luck. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't say this for a lot of people, especially since all the harshness I've said throughout this channel, but I really do mean when I say I support you, and I wish you the best. So that's the end of the video. If you tuned in for the whole thing, I thank you for doing so, and I'll see you guys in the next one.